Hey guys, we're the Record Brothers, and that camera's kind of sideways. Hey, we're the Record Brothers, and now the camera is not sideways. Indeed.
This is very good.
So, Joji, whether you know him as Pink Guy, Filthy Frank, Joji, he has many names, but he's one of the most interesting and unique personalities
Yeah, cause
in YouTube
I
history.
yeah I know him from, of course, like Filthy Frank. He was like the Eric Andre of that time, really,
Yeah,
and
or like of YouTube.
of YouTube. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it it's funny whenever like I actually heard, oh, he's actually making music. I was like, okay, whatever. Like, it's probably not even good. And I didn't listen to it, and then he dropped this album, and now I'm like,
Yeah. So he put out his debut album, Ballads 1, in 2018. It had a couple really good tracks, some pretty notable, like, pop hits that came from it. It was really interesting, but I felt like there's more of a clean version out there somewhere where we would get a better version, and I feel that's exactly what we get on this album, Nectar. The singles leading up to this album were really great. Obviously, Run. I think Run's one of the best
Run is
songs of this
excellent.
year, actually. And then Sanctuary was great.
Sanctuary.
Gimme Love. So I was like, wow, okay, these singles are really good. Um, and I was not let down by this album at all. I think it is a well formed album from Joji. I was really impressed with what he did throughout it. With the melodies were strong on tracks like the opener. You
Yeah.
is
Oh
a
yeah.
great opener. It's strong. I feel like it does the job that you'd want the opener to do. It's a good teaser to what you're gonna get
Yeah.
sound wise on the album. And then also another one of the great singles was Daylight with Diplo.
Daylight's
I
really
love
yeah.
the bass. I love the ringing reverb guitar that goes throughout it.
Yeah.
And then I think Upgrade's a really good interlude in between those two tracks.
Yeah.
I think it kind of sets up what the singles are, which is weird that all three of the singles kind
Yeah.
of fit together. I'm not crazy about Gimme Love. When I first heard it, I wasn't crazy about it.
Yeah.
But it kind of grew on me. I love the driving kind of snare and hi hat at the beginning, and then it opens up to this massive ending.
Yeah. The second half of Gimme Love is like I think it's my personal high point of the album. Because you have the second half of Gimme Love, and it goes into Run, which is probably the best song in the
Yeah,
album.
and then Run is it's such a good song. It's such a good performance
Yeah.
as well from Joji.
It's
I almost wish that this album was more like this song. And it's easy to say, oh, I wish every album was like the best song in the album. But I love his performance. I love he kind of flexes his vocal muscles a little bit,
yeah.
and I feel
I
like
kind of wish he did more vocals on
yeah,
this album.
yeah, he was a little he can be a little tentative with the vocals. He can very subdued, and I think it works for the sound. But it's really nice to hear him kind of break through on this song.
Yeah.
The powerful electric guitar solo is great. I think production wise, it's a great song.
I would agree. It's one of my favorites of the year so far. And I don't know a whole lot about Joji, but I do hope that he continues to put out music like this, and if anything, that he can top this one with his next release and the release after, because I think he's got a lot of potential with this album. Seeing just how good it is, and the flow of the album is like incredible. Like the opener sets the tone perfectly, and it's got like a perfect hill, and the mid, Gimme Love, Run, Sanctuary, and then it kind of tears off a little bit at the end. There's some like okay tracks towards the end.
Yeah, we'll get into the features because the features are like there's such a spectrum.
Yeah.
There's a very wide spectrum of features on this album, and I think High Hopes is an example of one that falls on the weaker side of the quality. It sounds a lot like what Omar Apollo is doing with his music, and it's just dull. It's
Yeah.
very dull sound.
I guess if you like Omar Apollo, then it
You'll
won't be that
probably
bad of a
like this
feature.
track,
Yeah.
but if you don't, you're not gonna like this track.
And I think
It's very dull.
I
It's a
think
very dull track.
it's like that for most of the tracks on this album. Like if you can't really appreciate like rock influence, you're not gonna like Run as much. And I think that even though I think it's objectively one of the strongest tracks on this album. I mean, music is subjective in the end. So, like for me personally, I love "Give Me Love" and I don't like "Pretty Boy."
I love Pretty Boy.
Yeah.
So Pretty Boy is one of the tracks when I first heard it, I was like, what the heck is this? And why? And I saw that Lil Yachty was featured on it. I was like, this could go so many different ways. And I love it. It reminds me a lot of what Brockhampton was doing on Saturation 3. It's weird and it's got a great melody and it works for me. I don't know. It just really works. It's the strangest song on the album. And I think it works really well.
It's definitely the strangest song on the album.
Yeah. And I love it.
Yeah.
I love the Yachty feature. I love he sticks within the tone of the song. He still is Yachty, but it sounds really good. I thought they did a great job with that song. And then even better on the feature spectrum is that man right there, featured on Reanimator.
That's a great song.
Yeah, Vez Tumor is one of the most exciting voices in alternative funk, and I don't even know what you want to call him. He's
his own thing. He's his own genre.
Yeah. If you haven't heard his new album this year that he put out, it's one of my favorites so far this year. And A Gospel for a New Century is a great song. But anyway, back to Reanimator. It's a great electronic song. I thought he did a really good job with it. I love the instrumentation. Love the feature. So I think the back half is a little stranger, where the front half feels a little bit more pop-centric.
Yeah.
The deeper you get into it, you're getting really into the deep cuts with some of the more interesting takes. And I really like some of them. And I think some of them miss as well. But I think for the most part they hit. On the back half, you also get Mr. Hollywood, which sounds very much like Dominic Fike's new record. I think it's better than what Dominic Fike was doing on his new record. I wasn't a big fan of it, but it does sound a lot like some of his contemporaries. You could also draw a comparison to Rex Orange County on a couple tracks. But yeah, I thought it was cool. Kenny Beats did the production. It was a cool track.
Yeah.
And then we get to the ending, Like You Do. What a great closer. It's beautiful. I'm very upset that it's not the closer. It's very weird that this song is not the closer.
If this song was the closer, it would just like
they end it
good.
really well.
Yeah. But because the ending is like, this song is just a perfect wrap up, because it is the end of the hill. You just got to the bottom of the hill, and it mellows out to like nothing at the end.
And I think it kind of encapsulates the record, as it is a love. There's a lot of ideas of love, and I think it's a good closer. But it actually just abruptly ends, and then we get to Your Man, which I think is a good track. By the way, it just feels like that song would have been better placed, like in the middle of the album, or like more towards the beginning, like around Gimme Love.
Around there would.
Yeah, but it's really strange. That song, it literally just stops in the middle of a note, and I'm like, what the heck? Yeah. So I felt like that was a little, I don't know. It could have ended better, but in all honesty, I think that Joji did a really good job with his album.
Yeah, I think that I'm really excited for what more he's doing after this album, and I think I'm gonna be listening to Joji more often because of this album.
Yeah, he did a great job. I do think that there are a couple of low notes, 777, and the aforementioned
High Hopes. Yeah, and
still,
of course,
I'm still waking up from that sleep. It is a sleepy song.
And of course, just kind of perfecting the flow and making sure that. But I would say, besides the ending, this track list is placed to almost perfection. Like, I think it is lined up really well. I don't think every track on here is perfect. That's not what I'm saying, but I do think that he's got a very good sense of flow throughout albums, and I think that his next album is going to like be very good.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear what he's got coming. So, my rating for this album is gonna be 3.5 stars. I liked it. I thought it was good. I think there's more to come. I think there's more growth to come. Some really high notes on, not high hopes, but high notes on the album, and also a few low ones. So I'm excited to hear what he's got coming after this. Good album.
So 3.5. That's interesting. I gave this one 4 stars.
Okay, so you really liked it. You liked it.
I do originally. I had a higher rating of this album, but I was able to kind of realize, it's not a perfect album.
No.
And there definitely could have been some fixes, but I mean, there's not a whole lot wrong with it. For me, music is about the experience of listening to it, and my experience listening to this album was very good, and so I like this album a lot, and I think that musically, it stands up to that. It's just good.
Yeah, I think while some of these songs may be like his contemporaries, but I think he stands out in this album, and I think that's really important. So we're both positive on it. Go check it out, and thanks for watching the video. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll talk to y'all later.